Welcome to this episode of the NSA Illinois Speaker Series. Today, our guest is Steve Beck. Steve is a keynote speaker and seminar leader, certified speaking professional or CSP, a devoted husband, and former president of the NSA Illinois chapter. His programs focus on customer service, sales, engagement, and leadership, among others. However, all of them revolve around an underlying theme: the importance of being positive, engaging, attractive, and likable. In our conversation, Steve and I talk about how he got started in professional speaking, the importance of role models throughout life, and why his clients keep coming back to him again and again. Enjoy this interview. Steve, thank you for joining me today. And I just wanted to give those who are listening to this interview, watching the video, a little bit of background about you. So Steve, you are a keynote speaker, a trainer, an MC, and you focus a lot of your attention on helping people achieve their maximum potential. One of your flagship programs is helping people have a great day every day, and helping them go into their workplaces energized and engaged and making the best of what they do. In your words, could you tell me and perhaps those who are listening or watching a little bit more about what your business is today, as well as where it came from and how you started?
Okay. Thanks, Carl. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I started, I was involved in an educational corporation. Okay. We did seminars. And I just attended these seminars over and over and over, probably 100 weekend seminars. Mm-hmm. And then we began to do one-day seminars, and we did 6-week seminars where you met once a week for 4 hours at a hotel conference room downtown Chicago. And finally I realized that maybe I should do one. Somebody said, you should do a half a day. You should do a full day. And then I began to do full days and half days, and ended up having my own business in 2003. And I do customer service about 60% of the time. Mm-hmm. And then I do leadership and life work balance and time management and like that sales training the other 40% of the time. Okay. You mentioned how to have a great day every day, and I got a book called How to Have a Great Day Every Day that I wrote, mm-hmm. that I do keynote speeches on. Okay. So you tell me the business that I'm talking to, whether they're pipe fitters or whether they're bartenders or whether they're CEOs or whether they're nurses, it doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. You tell me what they do, and we're going to implement the How to Have a Great Day Every Day into your line of business, into what you do every day. Okay. So that's pretty much what I do. How do I keep it going? I do my best to, when I give this keynote speech or this half day or full day training, I give them everything I got, all the energy, all the attention, and my job, the focus is to take the energy and so that people wake up. I mean, in other words, I just saw an evaluation form yesterday where a woman said, thank you for having me realize the effect I have on others. Mm-hmm. So I say it's not what you do in life, it's how you do what you do. And you're going to affect people in a negative or positive way. Mm-hmm. And the choice is yours. How are you affecting your coworkers? How are you affecting your children? How are you affecting the employees that work for you? Just get people to wake up a little bit to see, I can do better. Mm-hmm. As a salesperson. I can do better as a CEO. I can do better as a nurse practitioner. I can do whoever they are in the audience. Sure. So because of that, Carl, people call me back. Mm-hmm. So I do very little cold calling. So people call me and go, I heard about you. A guy had me do a keynote speech in February 2019. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, this is in Portland, Oregon. And they go, how'd you find out about me? A woman in Bozeman when you were there. I'm like, wow, okay, great. So I don't know how she knew, whether she was the sister-in-law or a cousin or whatever it might be. She called this guy up and said, listen, man, you got to have this guy in. He calls me up, boom. In 4 minutes, we did a deal, and I'm going to do a keynote speech out of Portland. So that would be nice if that happened every week or every day, but it doesn't. When people just call, the phone rings and you answer and go, this is good. Right. So I also do public seminars sometimes. and invite as many people as I can. And usually when one person comes, they say, hey, I want you to come in and talk to my whole group.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm doing a public seminar and I get 30 people to show up. And I make my normal fee for the day. And then one or two people might want to hire me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so you're able to generate some, I guess, kind of spin-off business from the public seminar. People can kind of get a taste of what you do, and then they say, well, I want you to come speak to my whole company instead of just me.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that happens every so often, and it's a good thing. And I don't want to pick up the phone. Why would I want to pick up the phone? I can talk to somebody, and they can hire me on the spot.
Right.
Because you're not going to hire somebody from a website or a one sheet or I had a meeting planner tell me, show me the video, man. Don't give me a one sheet or your website. I don't care about that. I want to see you in action. And
Right.
most of the time people hire me, they see me in action.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the expressions I have when I talk about how to have a great day every day is leave your funk at the door.
Mm-hmm.
So people love that expression. I saw a guy that I hadn't been there in 12 years. It was a casino. And I go, hey, how you doing, man? You were here 12 years ago. And he goes, yeah, you know the expression we still use? I knew it right away. I go, what was it? He goes, we still say leave your funk at the door. I'm like, good for you. It's a good thing because when somebody leaves their funk at the door, then you know if you have to work with them, they're going to be giving it their all, 100%.
Right.
Their A game you're going to get versus, it's Monday. I mean, man, when I work with people like that, I whisper in their ear, you should quit. What? I'm like, you look like you hate this job. Quit.
Yeah.
I don't like when you say that sometimes. But
yeah. So I've got to ask you, Steve. So when I've spoken with other people who are speaking professionally, a lot of certainly those who are doing like seminars and training, is a lot of them will focus on content delivery, whereas from what you're telling me and what I know about you, it's almost like character delivery of how somebody can improve their character and their attitude and the way that they approach their job, regardless of what that job is. I mean, what you just said a few minutes ago is it doesn't even matter what industry or what market somebody or a company is in. It almost sounds like it's almost like the human experience that you address in many different facets. Is that fair to say that you're really addressing it from like a character point of view or an attitude point of view rather than perhaps like a content delivery, the way that other trainers or facilitators might go about it?
I would say yes, because it's called the Beck effect. And if you ain't having a great day every day, you're not going to be a good manager.
Uh-huh.
That's a no duh. If
Right.
you're not having a great day every day, you're not going to be a good salesperson.
Right.
If you're not having a great day every day, you're not going to be a great CEO. And
Right.
if you're not having a great day every day, you're not going to be a good mother or father. So I bring it outside the workplace
Mm-hmm.
because it's so true. That's why I'm always, and I say, if you're not having a great day every day, don't expect your kids to have a great day either, because you can't teach what you don't know.
True. Right.
So I hit them right in the heart. And character, absolutely, because I think about those people that I've worked with in the past. And some people I've worked with, I wanted to be like them. This guy or this girl was fabulous. Other people are like, oh my gosh, do I have to go to work with them? So it does have a lot to do with your point of view towards what you're doing and your job.
Mm-hmm.
And if you love your job and love your, what you do, you're going to come in and how you doing? What's going on? And, I love working with those people.
Yeah.
And, Stephen Stills, the song, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
Uh-huh.
I mean, gee, just do that. If you can't be at the job you love, then love the one you're at until you find the job you love.
Yeah.
But to the rest of us, please help us out here. So yes, it's character. Exactly.
Okay.
And then I take character 60% of the time, content 40%. Then I throw in, and if you're answering the phone at this organization, you might want to say their ABC. How can I help you? This is Steve,
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you ain't having a great day every day, you're not going to answer like that.
Right. So recognizing that you come from a background in corporate, and now you're doing what you do, talking about more about attitude and character and positivity. What do you think has been the connection between perhaps what I might call your prior life in a corporate context versus now being more of a facilitator or a speaker? How have the two worked together to benefit you and your business, but also add value to the audiences that you're working with?
Well, let me give you a couple of things I used to do. I used to be a trader on the floor of the exchange downtown Chicago at the CBOE.
Okay.
I used to work for my last 6 years for Drexel Burnham. Drexel Burnham, I was a floor broker. So I had to go in these different crowds, whether it be IBM, whether it be Teledyne, whether it be Johnson & Johnson, and I'd do my best to get trades done. So my personality had to be such that if they liked me, they would sometimes trade with me. If they didn't like a person, they wouldn't do trades with them.
Okay.
Then I had my own business in Montana for 7 years.
Uh-huh.
And, people do business with people they like. People do business with people they trust.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll trust you if they like you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have worked on my character and being a salesperson, even though I didn't realize it. I was a character when I was I was a salesperson when I was a trader. I was a salesperson when I had my own business as a seminar leader, and when I owned my own business in Montana. So I think attractiveness in our society is not necessarily looks. Mm-hmm. Attractiveness is, I like that guy. Mm-hmm. I want to hang around with him. She is great. I want to hang around with her a little more often. That's what attractiveness is. Uh-huh. Some people have caustic personalities that you want to run the other way. And if you have a really sweet personality, people will be attracted to you and you will get more out of life. Like, for instance, my wife and I go out for dinner. Fondue place. The young waiter I'm goofing around with, I'm having fun. This guy was great. He gives us the bill. I go, listen, we had 2 glasses of wine. You charge us for one. We had appetizer, you didn't charge us. We had dessert, you didn't charge us. What's going on here? He goes, you remind me of my Uncle Stan. Man. Oh, that's good, you're okay. And he walked away. Well, I didn't ask for anything free. But he just, so I don't know. It's one of those things. I get the best seats on planes. I get people take care of me when I rent a car. I mean, I try to be the sweetest person because I know they've been dealing with kind of jerks that are customers, especially this day and age where PC is taken over. Politically, you better treat me nice because I'm the customer. I'm not like that.
Right.
I want to make sure that the experience that we have, that they go, I like that guy. He was fun. It was, so I get, and I don't ask for it, Carl. I just happen.
Right. No, but I think that you're right in that today, in society, we're busy, we're stressed. I grew up when I was younger waiting tables, and the cliche was, well, the customer's always right. Whatever they need, you bend over backwards to make sure that they're happy. And if they're not happy, we're going to comp their meal or we're going to give them a discount, whatever it is. And what it ends up doing, unfortunately, is it kind of conditions people to say, well, I'm the customer. I'm going to get whatever I want, regardless of what my behavior is. But to your point is if you go, if you're at the airport, which is oftentimes a very stressful place for a lot of people, and your flight gets canceled or delayed or your luggage gets lost. Every time I'm at the airport, I hear somebody yelling at a customer service person or a ticket agent, and I can't help but think to myself, I'm like, what you're yelling at this person about, it's not their fault. And they're there to help you. So I always make a point, in line with what you're suggesting here is, this person probably has had a really hard day every day. And if I can just make their experience a little bit nicer, just by being a nice, decent person, they're probably going to be more likely to help me. And if I'm in a bind where I've missed a flight or a delayed flight or a canceled flight, whatever it might be, and I'm in a line of 9 people who are all being nasty, and I'm the one person who's being nice, well, who are they going to help? The person that's being nice and decent to them. So I think that point is very, very well taken, especially in society today.
I think it's got to do with what I call as level 2 thinking. And there's level 1 thinking, level 2 thinking, level 3 thinking. Level 3 is Jimmy Carter, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, you in the world, helping out the world. Now, level 1 is just me. My consciousness and awareness just goes to just around my body, and all I say I a lot. I say me. I don't let people in line. I don't in traffic, and when they do let me in line, I don't say thank you. It's all about me. I say I and me a lot. Now, level 2 is your consciousness goes aware. The awareness goes beyond you into the person that's you're interacting with, whether it be your team, whether it be your children, whether it be your coworkers, whether it be the customer, whether it be your boss, whether it be the people who work for you. You are aware of what they're going through. You just mentioned it just now, Carl. When you're in line at the airport and you're up, right? You could yell at the person, or you could realize the person can't, it's not their fault.
Right.
So you're kind of sweet to them and say, how you doing, man? You must be having a rough day. And they go, oh, man, I'm not having a rough day. And so they realize I'm not going to be that jerk. I'm going to be sweet. Let's see if we can resolve this problem together.
Yeah.
And I think people are unaware of that. And my seminars are about waking people up to a level 2 thinking, to a level 2 consciousness.
Mm-hmm. So I've got a couple of questions as it relates to that. Is one, going back to the airport example, I'm often surprised that there are grown adults who don't realize the importance of this level 2 thinking that you're talking about. Where do you think that deeper consciousness, that empathy, that sympathy, that putting somebody else before yourself, where do you think that comes from generally? And then kind of a second question is, where do you think you got it from? Because again, you're doing a lot of facilitation of seminars and programs that talk about attitude and character, which I think it's fair for me to say that you certainly have and you exhibit. Where did you get it? And where do you think that society at large potentially can get it from?
The seminars I do, exceptional, the one seminar, customer service is exceptional customer service. Exceptional. That means excellent, wonderful, superior, fantastic customer, whoever that customer is. If it's a credit union, it's your members. If it's a hospitality, it's guests. If it's the financial industry, clients. Service comes from right inside of you. Now, where did I get it from? I don't know. My father was one of the greatest guys I ever met in my life. I mean, he was everybody loved my father. Old people, young people, women, men. I mean, he was a man's man and a women's man. He was the greatest guy in the world. He was honest. He paid his taxes. He gave money to charities. He was a great guy. And so was my mother too. But I learned, when I grew up, I think that I don't know, kind of character also rubbed off on me. And then the servant part, it's like if you look out in the world, you look at Sean Penn. Sean Penn goes to Haiti. Now, Sean Penn does not have to go to Haiti. Sean's got a lot of money. Why would he go to Haiti to help out after they had an earthquake years ago? Yeah. He said, the person that you serve gets, you benefit the most. They benefit, but you benefit the most. Now, that is my message in my customer service seminars. And if you serve people, you will benefit the most. Your head will hit the pillow at the end of the night and you'll go, oh yeah. And you'll benefit. Now that's people are unaware of that. Yeah. And my teacher that I had for 12 years said people are asleep. And I think that's what they're asleep to. They're asleep to the difference they can make in a positive way in people's lives if they're just cognizant of this level 2 thinking. Of that there's other people and they're aware. Why people are not like that? Exactly what you said earlier. People were told the customer's always right. And I'll tell you something, Carl, I've never, ever said that. And I will never, ever say that because we are now PC society. We're politically correct. You better take care of me. And it's like, wow, take it easy. I saw a cartoon in the paper today. And it said 1960 and now. And 1960 had these two parents screaming at their kid, what about these grades? That was 1960. Now, the two parents are screaming, but above the kid's head at the teacher, what about these grades? Not my kid's fault. It's the teacher's fault.
Right.
They're not taking responsibility for themselves and their actions and their happiness because, Carl, what goes around comes around.
Right.
What goes around comes around tenfold and sometimes 100-fold. So if you want people to be kind to you, be kind to them. If you want people to understand you, understand them. If you want people to be considerate of your feelings, be considerate of their feelings. But that's an awakened human being that thinks like that. And we are now politically correct. What about me? What about me? What about me? And that's kind of where we're at. So my customer service job, I'm good for life, I think. I mean, I wish they would wean me away and I'd never have to do them again. But because of that attitude, I'm busy.
Yeah. I think that's a really interesting point. In this professional speaking world, or anything where there is a sales element to it, a lot of businesses or people say, oh, it's about your website, it's about your marketing, it's about your branding, it's about your social media, it's about all these things. And I think what you've made clear is it really comes down to being somebody that people want to work with, that you're easy to be around, that you're likable, obviously that you deliver results, but it's not about the window dressing. It's about what's behind the windows, that gets the associations of the companies that you've worked with calling you back year after year, or even years later. Certainly all those other characteristics that are the elements that I mentioned are important. But what's most important is really kind of the core of who you are, the message of what you're delivering, and the impact it can have on people's lives. I think what's really astounding about your focus area is it's such a, I would say a challenge that I would guess every single person in the world probably experiences daily, weekly, monthly, and beyond, but takes a lot of self-awareness and self-discipline to take a look at yourself and say, okay, maybe I'm not being my best person. I need to recalibrate a little bit and have a better attitude, and having that better attitude will trickle through into my work, into my relationship with my spouse, with my children. It'll permeate through every element of my life, and it just starts with that self-awareness and positivity.
My teacher said, you want your relationship to be great, you have to make it great. If you want your life to be great, you got to make it great. It doesn't just happen. So I've been married for 36 years. I tell my wife I'm crazy about her all the time. I tell her she's beautiful all the time, because I remember what my teacher said. You want your relationship to be great, you got to make it great. So I'm crazy about my wife. I don't just kind of like her. I'm crazy about her. And I tell her all the time.
Yeah.
Because I want to make that work. I mean, it's
right.
like, so it's an awareness. It's an awareness.
Yeah. And I think to your point of after 36 years, whether it's in a marriage or whether it's in a work capacity, that it does take work. It does take a long-term commitment, and say, just because we made it to 10 years, we've got it locked down. We're all good now. So I don't need to say anything, and I don't need to work on anything anymore. But it's different chapters, it's different stages of life, and we're still human. We all need to still feel and hear those things. You've made mention of this teacher of yours. Who is this teacher? And what is the impact that this person had on you throughout your life and on the work that you do today?
Well, his name is Ole Larson, and it was called Waking Up Weekend, and it was a weekend seminar. So I did it, and I realized that, and I brought it to Chicago. I did it in Pensacola, Florida, and then I brought it to Chicago, and I was the coordinator, and I was put them together, and I was assistant, during all these times. And so people got turned on. The same thing I'm talking to you about, awareness of how they do and what they do, and how it affects people in a negative or positive way. So that's who he was. Let's see. And I was involved for 12 years, and I did many seminars and heard many people go through many different difficult times, and saw many people go through difficult times and get to the other side and have a great life. So, and that happened to me. Same thing. My brother was killed in Vietnam when I was young, and my best friend was killed when I was 13. So I remember being in front of the room, and this Ole says to me, because I was talking about my best friend and my brother getting killed, he said, when are you going to let those dead bodies go? And I said to him, what? You can't talk. What do you can't talk to me like that? He said, when are you going to let those dead bodies go? I mean, he wouldn't stop. And I realized that I was using that excuse to not make my life work.
Mm-hmm.
And that woke me up. That was a definitely defining moment in my life because that was my excuse.
Yeah.
I can't make my life work. Look at what happened to me. Wah, wah.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I've realized I go through life, a lot of people have had it a lot worse than I have.
Sure.
They still have a great attitude.
Yeah.
So they become examples for me. So not just Ole was my teacher, but many, many people along the way have been my teacher. You were a teacher of mine, Carl, when you were on the big stage at NSA in Dallas. I'm like, there's Carl. I know Carl. You know, I mean, not a lot of people are on the big stage, and there you were, confident all get out. And a proud moment for me that I even knew you.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know the other people, but I knew you.
Yeah.
So like that, we inspire each other by what we do and how we do what we do. So thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, of course. And I think that what's interesting is that I think a lot of people don't think of themselves necessarily as inspirations or as mentors or maybe even as leaders. But it's kind of through these small actions or, you know, almost like micro demonstrations of certain qualities that those in themselves are inspirational to other people. You know, you don't have to be on a stage speaking to 10,000 people in order to be an inspiration. You don't have to be, you know, a clergy member if you're a religious person. You don't have to be, you know, a lead politician to be an inspiration. You know, anybody can demonstrate those qualities and create a lasting memory or impact on other people. And I think that that's really interesting. When I speak with younger people, particularly now, a lot of younger people are leaving high school or college and saying, like, I want to have a really big impact wherever I decide to go work. Whereas when I spoke with my grandfather, you know, decades ago, he was like, you just want to get a job where you get paid and you have a pension and that the employer is going to keep you there for 30 years and then you should be happy and grateful. And I looked at him and I was like, well, I kind of want to make a good impact on the companies I work with. And he's like, well, that's important too, but you want to make sure you got money coming into the bank and that you're secure.
My father, the exact same thing my father. Yeah.
But if you think about like the generational shift that's taken place, I mean, I don't think people have ever. I don't think that probably in the history people have ever said, "Oh, I don't really care about the impact I have." Probably some people like that, but generally speaking, I think that you can have small impacts through your everyday actions that create a culture around you, not necessarily just within a corporate environment, but just within your social network of friends and of family and potentially of coworkers. And it starts to permeate their behaviors and their awareness as well. And hopefully they start to demonstrate it and impact people within their circle. So I think that it's really a neat way of looking at things to say that each one of us, through the way that we behave and relate to others, can be inspirational and make really positive changes in the world.
And like you said, in a small way, sometimes you don't have to be on stage. You can do you don't even know. You don't even know you're getting checked out at a grocery store, and you're real sweet to the person checking you out, and the person behind you goes, "Man, I could probably do that a little more often myself."
Right.
So without even knowing it, you might be making a difference in someone else's life without, knowing it.
Yeah, and might hit a half dozen people, and then those half dozen people pass it forward in a way that ends up, hitting 100 people, and then those 100 people more and more. I mean, it's kind of an altruistic way of thinking, but I think it's a really purposeful and very optimistic way of thinking. Not unrealistic, but I think it's just a very positive way of looking at life every single day.
It's that beautiful ripple effect.
Yeah. Steve, just to take a little bit of a pivot, you've been in NSA for a while, and obviously you've been in this business for a while. You're a former president of the Illinois chapter. So you've seen the changes through the economy, the changes of membership and just the culture of NSA. I'm just curious from your perspective, why did you join, and what have been some of the benefits and realizations that you've made from being in this network of people?
I joined in 2005. A friend of mine from Kentucky that was part of the Kentucky chapter said, "Have you ever heard of the National Speakers Association?" I said, "No, I don't think so." He said, "There's chapters in every state. You should join." I said, "I'm not going to join and be around egotistical speakers who are just kind of jerks." He said, "No, you don't understand. You don't understand. You should join and find out." I said, "I'll go reluctantly." I went to something called a Fabulous Friday, and I liked it, but it was kind of cliquey,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody really was putting their arms around me. And then I went again and liked it. And what I was getting, Carl, was the content. I'm like, I don't know much about marketing. I don't know much about, doing sales, or I just learned something in sales today that really helped. So I wasn't so worried about them welcoming me in
Uh-huh.
and putting their arms around me and say, "Oh, Steve, how you doing?" They did, but it wasn't a sweet, real warm. It wasn't. It was okay. It was a little bit clicky, but they were
Uh-huh.
there to see their friends. They weren't there to see me.
Right.
So I kept going, and I'm not quite sure what the change was, but all of a sudden I got involved and got on the board and ended up to be president. But I'll tell you something. What Maureen O'Brien, a previous president, she got me involved. Said, "You should be in membership." I said, "I don't want to do membership." She said, "Oh, come on, come on." So I did, because she was kind of fun to be around. Um, so what I have learned in these 15, 18 years, whatever, was that I didn't know everything. And I
Uh-huh.
tell you, the people, the sessions I've gone to have been eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people that would do anything for me. And I'll tell you something, Carl, I would do anything for them.
Mm-hmm.
So the organization is about cooperation and not competition.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I always thought, "Oh, give me a break," but it's true.
Yeah.
You join NSA, and if anybody's out there that's listening to this and you're not a part of the NSA chapter, join and find out. Your eyes will be opened. And I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just saying that's the truth. If I'm a speaker,
Yeah.
I get involved in the speaker school. I get involved when I was with my teacher. Everything that came out. There was a communication program. I'm in. The minute it came out, I said, "I'm in." There was a goal setting seminar. I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that came out, I said, "I'm in." I didn't think about it.
Yeah.
I said, "I'm in." And I did the same thing with NSA. A program coming up, I'm in. So if it wasn't on the road, I was in every single time.
Yeah.
And I've gotten an incredible and laughed and had fun and have lifelong
Mm-hmm.
friends that are speakers, because my wife, who I love, cannot relate to being a speaker. She's an accountant.
Mm-hmm.
She can't relate to being a speaker. And a lot of people's spouses can't relate to being a speaker. And when you
Right.
get on stage and either get a standing ovation or someone says, "You're horrible," I hope that never happens. But you know what I mean? They don't have that experience. But I can relate to these speakers and tell them about times I've had. And they tell me what times they've had. And it was good, the bad, and how you, with meeting planners, how's that going? And what's working these days? What's not working these days?
Yeah.
What's been going on? I mean, that camaraderie, it can't be found anywhere else
Yeah.
except for NSA national conventions and and NSA local chapters. I
Mhm.
mean, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I totally echo that. I remember the very first time that I went to a luncheon, and it was at one of the Maggianas. I want to say it was out in Schaumburg, and it was Carl Huffman who had introduced me to it. I had gone to one of his seminars. He's like, you really should check this thing out. And what's funny is I keep in touch with Carl, and we call each other brother because his name's Carl, my name's Carl, and he's like, "What's up, brother? How you doing?" And I'm like, "Pretty good, brother." And there's quite a few years separating us, but it's just kind of funny to talk to each other in that way. But he says, "Come out to this National Speakers Association thing," and I'm like, "I have no idea what that is." And I go, and I had the same attitude that you had in the very beginning. I'm like, I'm going to be around a lot of people who are, very egotistical and kind of high on themselves, and they're not going to be my friends. They're all going to be in it for themselves. But within I would say 10 minutes of sitting down at the table that I was at and having lunch, I mean, all of that expectation, that kind of like preconceived notion of what this was going to be was completely shattered. And I was sitting across from Frank Beccaro, who's a Hall of Fame speaker, who's been in this business for a very long time. And I'm like, here I am, at the time, a nobody essentially, sitting across from a Hall of Fame speaker and he's not really talking to anybody except for me. And I'm like, why is he talking to me? And I was meeting other people who just wanted to talk and get to know me, and me getting to know them. And it was really quite unique and quite special. And I think you pointed it out very well. I went to the Influence conference for the very first time just a couple of months ago. And people are like, whatever you do, you have to go to the conference. Like if you do nothing else during the year, go to the conference. And I went, and it was the same kind of culture, that instead of it being 30 or 50 people at a luncheon, it's 1,500 people at a conference. And generally speaking, 99% of them all have that same kind of attitude and behavior. I mean, I had like prior presidents of NSA National coming up to me in the elevator and saying like, hey, welcome, what can I help you out with? And I'm like, yeah, right. He's like, no, seriously, whatever you need, I'll help you. This was about a year ago. You get the Speaker Magazine subscription from NSA, and I opened it up and I was reading one of the articles. It was about like video, and it was written by Bill Cates, who's also a Hall of Fame speaker. And I was like, it's really good. So I said, what the heck? I'm going to send him an email and I'm going to say, Bill, I really liked your article. I learned a lot from it. Thank you. So I sent him an email. 15 minutes later, he responds to me and he's like, if you have any questions, let me know. So I actually asked him a question. He's like, let's get on the phone. I'm like, what? Seriously? Like, here's a guy who's probably busy going all over the world. And here's this newbie, myself, asking him some technical video questions. He's like, let's get on a call. Let's talk. Whatever I can do to help you, I will. So it goes back to your point, Steve, of like, you make friends. Some of them may be initially just very quick acquaintances, but people are just willing to help each other. And even if you speak on leadership and somebody else speaks on leadership, your experience is totally different from them. Your perspective is totally different from them. Your audience may be totally different from them. And so while there may be a very slight overlap in terms of the competition, it's so much more about the relationships and the collaboration and helping each other rather than feeling that somebody else is a threat. And I don't think I've ever felt that anybody is my competition as much as they are my friends and helping me out. So I would echo everything that you just said.
It's almost hard to believe until you experience it.
Yeah.
It sounds like
I agree. Yeah.
People could hear this and go, yeah, right. Those guys
Right.
are off the wall. Those guys are really, trumping it up. No. This is true.
Yeah.
You don't know it until you get involved. Like right there, you email a guy and he emails you back. Let's get on the phone. It's like, what?
Yeah.
That's what it's like. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I had mentioned to you just before we got on this call was I used to be involved in a couple of Toastmasters chapters, and my life has changed a little bit. I've got twin boys now, so I haven't gone to the Toastmasters meetings in a while. But there was a girl, a young professional who she's a speech pathologist, and she does a lot of training. And she's like, I'm actually looking to make something more of this. Can I get on a real quick call with you? And I said, I have the whole night free. I'm happy to talk to you as long as you possibly want. We were on the call for like an hour and 20 minutes. And she's like, I can't believe you just took all this time to talk to me. And I think about it and I'm like, you know what? 5 years ago, I might not have been as willing to do that. But because of the culture that I have now been around for the last few years of, Carl, I'm going to help you when you need help, and I'm going to be a resource for you when you need it, that it's caused me to have that same kind of attitude towards other people of say, I've had a lot of help from people who've been very selfless and have taken time out of their very, very busy days to help a friend or a stranger in me. And so it's caused me to say, like, I'm going to help a friend or a stranger, someone else. and hopefully they do the same. So it's really kind of a miraculous thing that has happened. And I give a lot of credit just to the culture that exists in the NSA organization locally and nationally.
I do too. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. One more question I have for you, Steve. So a lot of people in our local chapter are very experienced. A lot of people are just starting out, and then there are people in between. And recognizing that this is a very interesting time to get into this business, a question that I always like to ask people is, if you are starting out, and if, say you have been in this business for the last 6 months, you just started for 6 months, what would you personally be doing, Steve, if you were to start all over again? Those first 6 months of building your skills or your business or connection, what would you be doing to hopefully save time, maybe be more effective with your money, but ultimately, build your business in the most effective and efficient way possible?
I would get involved in everything that possible. In other words, I would do Speakers Academy for sure. If they haven't done that already in their first 6 months. And then I would get involved in programs to meet as many people as I could and, grab some information from them to see if it could make me a better speaker. If you're like a dry sponge, if you're 6 months, you're a dry sponge.
Yeah.
You want to get saturated with content, meeting people. Carl, if you want to be the best musician, you hang around with the great musicians. If you want to be a great chef, you hang around with the greatest chefs. And if you want to be a great speaker, you hang around with the best speakers. So that's what you do. I mean, get involved. And I'm not saying this, I get nothing out of anybody getting involved in NSA. Nothing. Yeah. I'm not even part of the board anymore. But I'm saying that what happened to me, I did the same thing. I got involved and said yes to everything because I thought, is there something I don't know? You know the whole expression, you don't know what you don't know?
Right, yeah.
So you just,
it's huge in this business, right?
You get involved, and you make it work. You make it work. Pretty soon, you'll be one of those speakers that's people are calling you for your advice. So if you've only been in 6 months, watch what happens when you're involved in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years.
Yeah. I think your point is very well taken. Going back to my conversation with Bill Cates, I don't remember if I asked him what advice he might have for somebody like me or if he just volunteered it, but he said, get involved immediately. Just start. He's like, get on the board, go to meetings, just start meeting people, volunteer for anything and everything that you can. The relationships that you forge and the information that you get is going to catapult you at a speed that you can't get anywhere else. So, I think that your point is very well taken. And then also, I don't know if you remember you saying this, but I want to say it was a webinar with you, and you were talking about the CSP, which is the Certified Speaking Professional. And you made the same kind of statement. You said, if you want to be the best speaker that you can be, you want to be a CSP. You want to hang around other certified speaking professionals. You want to be a Hall of Fame speaker. You want to be around other Hall of Fame speakers. So I think that that's one of the neat things about this industry too, is across the whole spectrum, you've got people starting out. You've got people who've been doing this for 50 years. But there's always somebody that you can learn from who's a little bit further ahead. And then there's probably always somebody who you can help out who is in the shoes that you used to be in. So I think that that's really kind of the special thing about this network and the organization, the profession as a whole, is that you can surround yourself by people who are perhaps already in a place that you want to be. And the generosity and the thoughtfulness that people have is usually unparalleled compared to any other industries I've been in. So I think that the points you've made are very, very valid.
Thank you, Carl.
So we've been talking for a while. I want to be respectful of the rest of your day, Steve. But thank you so much for spending the time with me this morning, sharing with me a little bit more of your background and your path, your unique approach to delivering the programs that you do. Again, when we first started talking, I think a lot of facilitators or seminar leaders think about content. but I think that you approach it from a seemingly intangible perspective, but something that all of us, I think, can relate to very much, and probably need to keep in mind every day that we go to work and interact with our friends and family. So I think that the lessons you shared today are all very, very good. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Carl.
And
It's a pleasure doing this interview with you. You're a great guy, and I'm glad you're on the board, and I'm glad I think we're close to being friends, man.
not yet, but maybe after this discussion we will be.
Let's get together soon at one of the events again.
Sounds good, Steve.
A hug and we'll be friends, man.
Sounds good. We'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, have a good day.
Take care. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
If you're interested in learning more about Steve, please visit his webpage at beckseminars.com or email him at stevebeck@beckseminars.com.